The one that looks like they're going to produce looks an awful lot like the current version. I don't think that's a dumb thing at all. It's an attractive car. It always has been. It's a class leader, and they don't want to lose that.
Welcome back to Car-Pinionated, our weekly show on cars, the car industry, and driving in general. I'm Doug Stewart, digital executive producer for Fox 61 in Hartford. And joining me is Jeff Buchholz from WBBM in Chicago and Glenn Packman from beautiful Fairfield County. Um, gentlemen, this week I wanted to talk about one of my favorite small SUVs, compact SUVs, the Mazda CX-5, which is they've recently announce the next generation. Um, my personal feeling is this is one of the nicest looking compact SUVs out there. Um, they've sold since 2012, they've sold 1.6 million CX-5s in the United States, and 4.5 million have been sold globally. Um, so I have some more notes on it, but we will weave that into the conversation. Glenn, what are you thinking about the new CX-5?
Um, when looking at the imagery online, one thing I want to point out is that there were a bunch of images released around January of this year, and then what looks to be the final version from stuff just recently. I'm a little disappointed that the January version didn't make the final cut.
Mm.
Uh, there's some styling cues from the earlier version that I really like. Specifically, they added on some electric bling around the front of the grille, which I think is really cool. And then, more importantly, they kind of came up with a more triangular shaped back pillar, back window thing that just works better. That being said, this is minutia, but I'm a little sad that that car didn't come out because that one knocked my socks off. The one that looks like they're going to produce looks an awful lot like the current version. I don't think that's a dumb thing at all.
Okay.
Um, it's an attractive car. It always has been. It's a class leader, and they don't want to lose that juju, you know. Um, I will say that I think they are pushing the car to come across as more of a luxury and comfort vehicle than anything with off-roading aspirations, and that's fine too. I it certainly it certainly gives you a look like you're getting a huge bang for your buck. And in direct reference to our favorite cars that we talked about, that goes all the way back to 93 when I bought my Mazda Protege because it was a little car that didn't look like, sorry, it was a little car that looked like I spent a lot of money on it and I didn't. It really looked nice. People were always commenting on how good looking a car it was. Incredible for its class for just a little four door. And here we are dealing with the same. This is the biggest selling uh, end of the auto industry in the United States. That this model generally, the
Yeah.
RAV4 class, we'll call it, is our big seller, the CRVs, and this. And I think they were smart to keep it looking luxurious. It looks like you spent more money on it than an equally equipped RAV4, CRV, Tucson, etc. And that's smart. That's smart. So
Mhm.
from a visual standpoint, good on them. It sounds like they've done really key updates to the interior that they needed to get done, and that's also very good for them just to keep it current. That said, this is a 9-year-old car that's going out, and so they're a little overdue. But from what I can tell, it looks like they have another hit on their hands. So.
Mhm. Jeff, what are you thinking?
It's interesting to talk about the CX-5 and its resemblance to the previous generation. When I saw pictures of it this week, I was like, wait a minute, this is an all new one? I did not, it took me a second and third look at the pictures to realize,
Mhm.
oh, yes, this is new. The down the road graphic is different. The headlight signature is a little different. There are some differences in detail, which is really smart for them, actually, because you don't monkey with something that still works. And I'm pretty sure the CX-5 is their volume seller.
I think
Um,
that's right. Yeah.
yeah, and it should be because it's a very good car. And they're smart to continue selling it in Soul Red, by the way.
Yeah.
And the one thing Glenn mentioned, updates to the interior. The one thing that's sparked some controversy in the interior is the addition of a touch screen for a lot of secondary controls in the center stack,
Yeah.
which is it's something that Mazda hasn't done before, and a lot of their sort of corporate philosophy tends to be anti-touch screens because they're not terribly intuitive. It's like you have to take your eyes away from the road in order to set whatever thing you're trying to do in the center stack. But also, it should be said that putting controls on a touch screen is cheaper probably to do than building physical buttons. And so if that's the worst crime that's committed by the Mazda folks, I'm willing to let them off with a warning. And Glenn, you mentioned that it doesn't really look as though it has off-road aspirations. It doesn't need to because Mazda has the CX-50 for that,
Right.
which is
That's a good point.
sort of more the Subaru Outback competitor
For
for
sure.
that.
For sure.
And has more of that kind of off-road appeal, and it's also a really good car. But I think it's a fine car. I hope they still sell the wheels off the thing so that we can continue getting Miatas and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that they have sort of split that, the compact SUV market into in their showroom. And because, if they were to make an off-roady version of the CX-5, I don't think you'd get, I think people would be sort of suspect, like, oh, it's just wheels and some trim, right? But if you have a whole different car, then that has, like, oh, that's clearly that is the one that competes against the Forester and the, da, da,
Mhm.
da. I had plenty of opportunities to drive the second generation CX-5. The the screen with the knob, it it was a little bit of a learning curve, but it wasn't a lot of learning curve. And some of them actually, when you went into Apple CarPlay, and I don't have Android Auto, but if you had those, there were touch screen elements on some, not all of them, but some of the later models. Um, but just the we've said this, jewel like, just really thoughtful, really. It was the one I drove on a somewhat regular basis, belonged to our friend Dan, and it was that beautiful red, and
Mhm.
just really thoughtful. And I just, there's no way around it. I just really, really like the car. It was great. It was great. Um, so apparently there's an electrified alternative coming. It'll have a new hybrid powertrain in 2027, model year 2027. Um, they are learning from their mistakes with the CX-90 um, hybrid, which has been sort of clunky and
Yeah.
not much fun. So they want to do it right, and good for them. One of the things I found interesting about in the write up of it, they're you gotta love the people who write press releases, because so I don't know if I could do that, but um, the quote I have was, "It was developed around our wearable gear concept, which is inspired by functional yet stylish clothing that has the right look and fit in a variety of situations." Why? I don't know.
So, on her seminal album Ray of Light, there's a song by Madonna called Candy Perfume Girl, which the lore says she wrote by basically taking words out of a magnetic poetry kit. You remember those? That's what that press release reminds me of.
There you go.
Or a Mad Libs of some kind.
What flashed through my mind was, well, you know, clothes are clothes and aren't really all that expensive to change up if you decide you don't like it. You know,
Right.
a car is your second most important purchase in your life after a house.
Right.
You know? I mean, come on. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wearable?
Yeah. I,
Wearable
uh,
gear, Glenn.
Sorry. I
I
just
don't.
I don't know how to
really
be any more clear, David. Wearable
wearable.
gear.
Oh God, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's bad. That's bad.
I'm just when I read those lines, I'm thinking, thank God I work in this side of the industry, not the public relations. I love public relations folks. Some of them do a really, really, really great job, and I am always thankful for those folks. But sometimes you get, really, really, that's where you want to go.
I'm
Um,
glad that they're going to electrify at some level the CX-5. There is a hybrid CX-50 as well, and I don't think it's had the same issues that the
no,
larger vehicle has had. And I think that's Mazda benefiting from their sort of low-level tie-up with Toyota, because I think they've been able to
Yeah.
use some of that proprietary technology, as has Subaru.
right. And I think didn't we talk about the fact that they build the CX-50 in the same plant as the RAV?
That may be.
I stand to be corrected. I think when
That
we
may be.
and we'll be back in a minute. I also give them a lot of credit for sticking with you know, a traditional automatic gearbox with gears
Mm.
and the Sky Active. I mean, the engines are really, really efficient, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
for the most part, they don't have. Most of them don't have turbos. I think some of them might. Stand to be
Yes, some of them
corrected
do.
on that. But like those are that's really, really great, incisive engineering. And if
Mhm.
that's indicative of how it works through the entire company, that's good on them.
Yeah.
Um, and I it's also interesting, and Jeff, you brought this up. It's hard to tell. I did the same thing. I was like, is this the new one or the old one? Which is the same problem I had from the first to the second generation. Like
Mhm.
sometimes the only thing I can tell, apart with the first and second is the silver kick up on the D pillar.
Right,
Mhm. Right.
right.
I'm going to give
Good
them
on
props
them.
for having strong design language throughout their line too, which a lot of car companies seem to just chuck. We've got another episode coming up down the pike where I'm going to be very pointed about this kind of thing. But Mazda, you know the look of a Mazda. You know, this car definitely looks, you can tell that the CX-90 is its cousin. You can tell the CX-50 is its cousin. You can tell that the 3 is its cousin, you know. They all have a very strong family resemblance, and that's a good thing when the car is good looking to begin with. And the Mazda lineup has always been sharp. So,
Hmm.
you know,
And they're
well, not
also
always.
benefit
They've had
from
a few clunkers, but
oh yeah. It's also benefits from the fact that they have designed all these cars and they're all still selling. I think that's somebody the car company changes its design language and gets one, two, three, four, and then like they decide to change the design language again. So they never have a full lineup that all has some sort of completeness to it. But Mazda's been able to do that. And and they're on their own. They don't have any big corporate overlords to, you know, and probably in the whole thing with Ford, they came out the best. I think
yeah.
probably. I
Oh
mean, I think
yeah.
there different companies got different things out of it, but in large part, it was a it was not good for JLR. It was not great for Volvo.
It's kind of a
Um,
push. Yeah.
yeah, but Mazda seemed to come out winning.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about the MX-6 and we've talked about the Ford Probe and how and the all these things that really they work together, really they fit really well together. And we'll be back in a minute.
Looking forward to seeing what
Someday I will own a Mazda. I don't know. I'm thinking it might be a B2300. I mean, I've already said on this podcast that I think the 2006 Ford Ranger is the best truck ever built and is
Yeah.
all the truck anyone really needs.
Yeah.
I would buy the Mazda version of that in a heartbeat. That's a
Right.
great truck. And there's a lot of them in the Pacific Northwest with 5-speed manual transmissions. And I'm like, I just might.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had
Mhm.
Yeah.
it, and then I sold it to this guy. Yep.
There was nothing
Good
wrong
little
with the
truck.
truck. I've said this
Nope.
before. There was nothing wrong with the truck. It wasn't, I wish it had a larger cab. I wish that,
Mhm.
like, if it just had that much more travel to the seat, it would have been better.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, if I knew I was never going to get a speeding ticket because it never hit above 70.
No.
But the practicality of it was great. I thought it
Hmm.
looked great, and so there were so many things about it that I think were just really, really good. Um, and it had all the goodness of your typical Ford Ranger, obviously, because beneath beneath the sheet metal, they're primarily the same thing. So,
Yep.
um, you know, good on them. Good on them for doing it.
For sure.
Uh, All right. That's been another episode of Car-Pinionated. You can catch us old episodes on our YouTube playlist. Look up Car-Pinionated. And shout out to the fine folks at Fox 43 in Harrisburg for airing us and WGRZ for airing us. And we appreciate that. So with that, we will bid you a fond farewell.